The first part of my Fallout series was the figures and custom parts I needed, and the second part is going to be the different Fallout assets that I'm building to decorate my build. Like you can see here, I have the Fallout 76 camp device, a power armor station, and a weapon crafting station. I did my best to build these as accurately as possible. One thing to know is this power armor station is going to need to be built on a base plate or plates, just because this 1x3 is loose. The other ones are going to be pretty solid builds that you can put around anywhere. And let's start with the smallest build first. Let's take a look at how to build the camp device. This is going to be a pretty small build, so it won't need that many parts, but here are all of those pieces you need for the camp device. To start with, you're going to have to put all of these modified round tiles into the bottom of the bracket as the feet of the camp device. And this isn't going to be the absolute strongest connection. When you're pulling it up off of plates, it might have the feet fall off, but I think it works pretty effectively. Putting that to the side. Then I need to use 3 of these brackets and one 1x2 plate to give it some snot areas to connect more things to. Flip that around and connect it to the feet. After building the feet, place on the panel pieces that act as a sort of folding case, and one on the front as well as one of those rail parts. After building the main base, all you have to do is put this one stud on the inside there. And as the last part, you need to build the top antenna part, which is pretty easy. All you need are the pieces that I had laid out there. And for the last bit, just click on this modified plate. And of course, again, just placing on the base, and then you have the build completely done. Let's move on to the weapons table. Here are all the parts you'll need to build the weapons workbench. Again, another limited color palette. The instructions and the parts list are going to be unrubricable in the description. I'm going to have this build broken down a little bit more to make it easier to follow. Starting off is going to be pretty easy, just putting down the tile. The position of this piece is going to be important later on, so just keep an eye that that's in the right spot. And then just stack the 2 bricks together, put that there, and you have the first half of the bench done. Just need to add a little bit more to the side. Getting back into it, another easy step. Just need to stack those bricks. They're going to go right there. Put down that tile and half plate, and the 1x2 plate goes in the front. Now you just need to go on, add a little bit more detail on the side there with a sand blue ingot. And you have the whole base of the workbench done. Just got to build the extra details for the top of it. Getting into the back wall of the workbench. It's going to be a couple of easy assemblies, throwing together the bracket with some small pieces. Getting all of these parts together. The clip is going to go on the back side of the wall on the snot brick, so make sure you turn that around. And it just ends up going all together with the 1x4 plate. Stacking it all together with the 1x1 plates on the bottom as well. And connecting it to that drawer. With the back of the bench here done, you can place it on to build the 2 different grips that are on the stations. They're going to be pretty easy to assemble. Just putting together, some brackets and some different smaller pieces. I think these are some of the more fun details that I was able to throw in. At this scale, it's a little bit harder to fit some detailed assemblies, but I think for the most part, these definitely work. Now that you've built the 2 different vice grips, you can place them on the bench, and you can see that we're almost done with this. An interesting detail from the in-game model is that it has a little rack with some propane tanks probably. So I just threw together this little rack that'll be able to hold one of them. Then, like we showed earlier, that clip piece is going to hold the other one. You now put on that rack part, and we can move to building those air tanks. The back will have 2 different tanks, but we'll put those together separately. Just a couple of pieces here, and they're all pretty small and easy to get. Like I always try and do when I'm designing, I look at the part availability on Pick a Brick directly from Lego, so you'll be able to do this easily on your own at home. And just throwing on that one last round 1x1 brick. Let's move on to the second one, which is going to be a bit smaller. And again, for this one, you just need to stack those parts together. And we'll be able to throw it on with the other one. With everything built, you can finally put on these tanks. Make sure that the printed tiles are on the outside. The smaller one clips on the bottom there, and the larger one goes on the rack. Clip it on, tilt it down, and make sure that they're kind of level. And that's all you got to do for this. Let's move on to the power armor station. To build the power armor station, here are all the parts that you'll need. Lots of yellow with a little bit of gray and dark gray. Like I said, this plate isn't required, but it's going to be what I'm going to use to demonstrate building this. You just need to throw down the tile, put down the plates here, repeat it on the other side, and you have the bottom sort of supports that would be for the actual model. Let's move on to the arms that stick up and around. You're going to need 2 times these parts because it's going to be mirrored on both sides. Starting with some of the easy stuff, stack these plates, throw on the modified one there on the end, have the bar modified piece connected to the clip. The bar here will go in the hole, and that will go on the clip. And place that right here on the plates, fold it up. You're going to angle it in later, but for now, just leave it straight and put the hose piece inside of the round plate there. And like I said, do that another time. Let's get those out of the way. Connect them to the base on the 2 different clips on both sides. Those nozzle pieces act as stoppers to give them somewhat of an angle, but not having them flop around too much. For this, it'll be a mirrored assembly, so it'll use the same amount of parts, but it'll be slightly different with one side being for the right, one being for the left. So, like I said, it'll just be mirrored. Now you can throw these on their respective sides, and this is where you'll need to angle those bar pieces a bit. The shaping of this in the game is a little interesting where it kind of curves in. So to give that illusion, I just had these moved in a little bit. So it kind of connects a little better and matches that in-game model just a little bit more. This last bit of this model is where it gets a little bit more complicated. This is going to be a ×2 part of it, and they're going to connect with this piece. Just click throwing it together. Clip goes on the nozzle, and then clip on the other one on the other side, and again using one of those clip pieces like that. Then all you got to do is fold it one of the ways. So in this example, it would be the one for the left facing it. And again, with that second one you would build, twist that one, connect them with the tile. Now we'll be able to throw this onto the back of the power armor station. The way to get this to fit really well is to put it at the top of the 1x4 plate and make sure that these bottom clips aren't pushed in all the way so they can angle a little bit better and not run into the corners of that tile. But you can see right here, everything is sitting pretty perpendicular for the most part, and this is one of the bulkier parts of the build, but it is the best way that I could get it, where there is the cross sort of X shape and also a rectangle in the middle. This might be one of the areas that I'll have to work on more in the future, but I'm pretty happy with this for the most part. Let's get on to the final part of the video. And here are all of those Fallout builds kind of being put to use as they would be in the build. They scale pretty well. The weapons bench might be a little oversized, and just to play around with it, I have one of those nozzles for welding. It doesn't work super well if you don't have it connected to studs. The figure will just kind of flap around wherever that wants to go. And it is an option. You just need to move the ingot piece back one, and the snot brick will open up, and you can put in the end there. And that way, he has a tool that you can work in a weapon with. And you can see here with the power armor kit that I painted up, fits very well into this workbench. So I'm very happy with the way that the whole power armor station came together. And, you know, the colors worked out pretty well. Same with getting some of those decorated parts on there. And I just can't wait to get all of these put onto my final Fallout build. And if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe so you can get the third part of this series, to see my other Fallout videos or any other custom Lego or Lego builds. Check out all the other ones on my channel. I've been Brickworld, and I'll see you in the next video.